Hey everyone, it's Sensei Victoria Whitfield here, your journey partner in business, welcoming you back to episode 53 of the Journeypreneur Podcast. This is your source for channeled holistic stress management techniques, guidance, inspiration, and motivation to stay on your path to rapid financial ascension and massive impact as a conscious entrepreneur. The title of this podcast episode is Your Royal Role. So in the last podcast episode, if you didn't listen to it, you're going to want to jump back to Biomimicry In Business because this is a continuation of that conversation that we were having yesterday. And we brought up this idea and we began the conversation around looking to the wisdom of the honeybee to help us in organizing a business that can play an infinite game, as Simon Sinek would say, or a business that can stand the test of time and work at scale. Now, there are 3 levels of support that you need in order to do this successfully set up in the first place. And we went over that in the first podcast episode, that the one yesterday from episode 52. Make sure you check that out. But today in particular, we're going to talk about the importance of knowing your role in all of this. So once you have those 3 levels of support, what is required of you to make sure that the system continues over time? And that is knowing your royal role. And that is you being the queen of your business, whether you are male or female. You ready for this? Let's talk about it. So, with that being said, the role of the queen bee, according to nature, in the hive is to do several things, and these things only. She does not do any of the things that the other bees in the hive do. So her role is as follows. For one, she has to constantly consume royal jelly. This is essential not only for her nutrition, but also for having her fueled to do the rest of her responsibilities as the queen of the hive. Next, she is constantly going around the interior of the hive and assessing, examining, and inspecting the structure of the hive and how it literally feels to her. She goes around feeling on the cells of, say, the larval bees and making sure that they're all in the shape that feels correct to her. And she moves around the hive, making sure that everything else is structurally sound. And as she does this, by the way, as she goes around feeling, she then also releases pheromones. And those pheromones are what direct the behaviors of the rest of the entire tribe. All of the hive of bees, all 3 classes, are directed according to the pheromones released by the queen. And so in order for her to have enough energy to go around feeling things and releasing pheromones, which signify how she feels about these things, so that everyone knows what to do, she has to have energy, right? So her first role, consuming royal jelly, is equally important. And then last but not least, the queen is also responsible for giving birth to everybody. So let's dive into that because, there's also a certain level of nutrition that you need to be able to constantly be pumping other people and ideas and projects out. So let's get into this. The queen has a special, I guess I would describe a holding tank for sperm in her thorax. So once that holding tank is empty, periodically, like in cycles here and there, she will fly out of the hive and release pheromones that her holding tank is empty. And when she does, the worker bees will fly out and empty all of their sperm into her so that they can fill back up that holding tank. Most of them often die from this process, but this is so that the rest of the hive can continue, right? And so she flies back in once her holding tank is filled. And then over the next few weeks, what happens is she will release more of that material and then fertilize herself, right? She'll take another bit, fertilize herself, give birth to another bee, and just at her own pace continue then to give birth to new bees so that the hive is always full. So this is really powerful because knowing your role in the business is essential to the perpetuation of the business. Like knowing that there has to be someone who is receiving royal jelly, constantly inspecting the business and how everything is going, and then also launching new creative projects and giving birth to new opportunities, right? That's the role of the queen. As a fun fact, by the way, the reason why there's only one queen and a whole ton, like, right, the rest of the hive is those other 3 classes of bees. The reason why there's a difference between the two and everybody's not reproducing is royal jelly. So the first 3 classes of bees that we talked about in the last episode, they consume something that's called bee bread. So it's high calorie. It's really focused on giving them as much energy as possible, but it's not that nutrient dense. And because of that, their bodies mature only to about a teenage age. They never really go through puberty. Whereas royal jelly is, yes, high calorie, but it is very, very dense in nutrients. And the queen, as she consumes it, her body matures out into one that goes through puberty and can reproduce. She's the only bee in the hive that can give birth because she consumes royal jelly. Any bee in the entire hive can be a queen, actually. But the difference is, what are you consuming? What are they consuming? The rest of the hive is eating bee bread, whereas the queen is a strict diet of only royal jelly. With that being said, let's apply this. Remember biomimicry. Let's apply this to your role in your business. How can we mimic this so that you can make your business more efficient, operate at a higher scale of volume, as well as support you in sitting back into the role of being the visionary. So as I am recording this right now, I actually am wearing my #visionary hat. Just as a constant reminder to myself of who I am and who I need to be in order to be of best service through my work. And the more that you can learn about being the visionary and allowing the rest of your staff, even if you're just one person right now, I want to encourage you to start thinking about hiring at least one assistant, right? But thinking of yourself as the visionary of your business and allowing others to integrate for you. But in order to get into that visionary state, you have to come through being an integrator. You can't just, every single person in their business starts as the integrator, the same way that any bee could be the queen. Everyone starts off as an integrator, right? We're all doing the work. We all have that same DNA. We all have those same lessons that we need to learn and come through in order to be successful in business, right? But what causes you to mature out of the integrator and into the visionary? If you're the founder of your business in particular, or if you're the next in line for being the executive director, if you're in a nonprofit situation, what is going to help you be the visionary that can carry an entire hive of integrators? And that is royal jelly. So this is, what are you consuming? What type of programs, what type of philosophies, what type of experiences are you consuming that cause your vision to grow and be much more reproduction focused? Do you have a constant influx of millionaire mindset, leadership mindset, servant leadership mindset, teamwork mindset, nutrition coming in and fueling you? Or are you constantly only looking at how to do one thing and how to be the best at this, executing this one task? Are you learning more about doing it yourself instead of doing things together? Because do-it-yourself programs, products, books, info products, and webinars and all that, show you how to do this thing, in 5 days or in 30 days, or I'll show you how I, hooked up my autoresponder, blah, 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 right? There's a constant stream of how to do your marketing and blah, 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 blah for us as entrepreneurs and business owners. But I want you to know that's bee bread. That is not your royal jelly. Royal jelly material for your consumption is focused on leadership, teamwork, delegation, high vibrational mindset, motivation, right? Inspiration, how to be innovative, how to improve your communication skills, collaboration skills, learning about scaling and working with joint venture partners, right? The more that you can reach for royal jelly, the more that you will have the necessary fuel that you need in order to be in your royal role, right? To be the visionary of your business. Don't get distracted by the bee bread opportunities. There are 1,000,001 out there. Trust me. I know. I'm only speaking from experience, but I wanted to just take a moment to inspire you of how can you begin to transition out of the integrator and into the visionary? Because for some of you who are listening right now, it is time. You cannot spend any more time as the integrator because you know that you are called to serve more people. And if that's true, then you have got to start taking in nutritious information, experiences, trainings, and connections that will help you move into that visionary mindset. And as someone who is super smart and multi-talented from one to another, I know you are too. This is the toughest thing, right? Because when we're trying to give things off as delegations, we know how to do it best, right? But remember, what does the queen do? She's, other than consume royal jelly, she's constantly inspecting, assessing, checking, and feeling. She's releasing her pheromones, right? So that means she is giving feedback. Right? So she is giving feedback to her workers around, this is how you're doing. This is how I feel about how we're doing. This is what I feel needs to change. Right? And she just releases the pheromones and then continues on because there's way more that she has to go and assess. So be kind to yourself if you're getting caught up with expressing about the minutia and then teaching on the minutia rather than going through and doing your assessments and inspections and then leaving it to the worker bees, the nurse bees, and the larval bees to figure it out, right? Because not only as the queen or the visionary of your business, whether you're male or female, right? Not only do you have to be constantly consuming that inspirational, high vibrational mindset, leadership mindset material and doing your inspections. But on top of that, you got to be giving birth to what's the next level of the business. What are the new initiatives? How are we going to expand? Right? Giving birth to new connections or new opportunities for the rest of the hive to go out and execute. That takes a lot of energy, and it also requires you periodically, when you don't have an idea of what needs to come next, flying out, going out, setting aside time away from the office, right, and away from your normal operating procedures to receive all of the feedback, all of the information from your people, from your past clients, from your team, current and past, from your network of what do you need to know right now? What could be better? How could we do less better? How could we serve more people? Receiving the feedback from them, and let them empty themselves. Let them give you such great feedback that it's going to have to take time of you being by yourself in order to pull it apart, digest it, and create the next level, the next initiative with. Be kind to yourself if you're jumbling all of this together, right? Or not even allowing yourself to be open to that yet. Now's a great time to start. So I'm feeling that this is a wonderful place for us to leave off for today's podcast. So I'm curious, how are you vibing with this? Was this right on time? Make sure that you hit that like, subscribe, thumbs up, 5-star button. Leave me a review. Tell the story. If this was the podcast that you listen to, you're like, oh my goodness, I am so subscribing on iTunes. Say so. I'd love to read that review and listen to your story. Or you can head on over to naturalintuition.com and click our retreats button. And we'll see you at the next one, because I would love to help you transition up and out of being in that integrator role, being the visionary that you were called to be. So I am sending you so much love. And last but not least, please remember to enjoy the journey. Do not lose your glow as you grow in life and business. We'll see you in the next podcast episode. Mwah! Bye for now.